Welcome back to the latest episode of BM Talks Villa, and we are here to talk about last night's game at the City Ground. And I'm here to somewhat spread some positivity because I've watched all of the podcasts this morning. I've watched Claret and Blue, I've watched Villa on Tour, I've watched them all, and there just seems to be a little bit of negativity. Also, I know Corey mentioned that he spoke and he told me that he saw Luke Robinson's comments as well around the Villa. And personally, I don't think it's that bad, guys. It's a 1-0 loss in the first leg. It is half-time. Remember that there is still another 90 minutes to go of football. It's not over. Forest don't play well at Villa Park. They can still come to Villa Park next Thursday and shit the bed. So breathe, Villa fans. There's my moment of positivity. Corey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you, Ben. Sun's out, weather's nice. Let's spread some positivity.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I'm all right, obviously I was at the game last night. I had a wonderful time apart from the result. I don't think particularly the performance was fantastic, but I've seen some people saying that they didn't want it. Forest wanted it more. The onus on that game was for Forest to go and win the game because if they had come to Villa Park and not took any lead to Villa, the likelihood is we'd have gone through in 90 minutes regardless. That's the crux of it. We won't lose the game at Villa Park, in my opinion. So the onus was on them. It felt like to me that Unai Emery set them up to be conservative, be patient, try and keep the ball, try and not be silly, not be too emotional. Because look, the game can't be won in the first 90 minutes, but it certainly can be lost. If we'd have gone there and conceded 3 goals and capitulated and give ourselves a mountain to climb at Villa Park, the tie's over. But it's not. So why are people acting like it's all doom and gloom? I don't get it.
To be honest, it's just I guess it's probably the expectation that Villa fans went in with. I think a lot of Villa fans probably thought we'd go into it with this idea of trying to bring a 2-goal lead back to Villa Park or whatever. And listen, obviously, like you say, that would be dreamland if you can go to an away leg first tie, no matter where you're going, whether you're going to Athens, Istanbul, Nottingham, wherever you're going, that would be dreamland if you can go and come back with a 2-goal lead like we did against Bologna sort of thing. But ultimately, Unai Emery's won this competition 4 times before, and he's done the exact same thing every time. We did the same thing against PSG, and we've learned from that PSG game. That PSG game, the idea was probably not to lose. Well, it was never going to be to lose by 2 goals. It was like, if we do lose, only lose by the 1. And unfortunately, we conceded that late one at the end, which, again, I think Forest didn't really go for a second goal towards the end. I think they were quite content with the 1-0. I do agree to a certain extent. I think the disappointing part was a lot of the players didn't step up to the occasion. I think there's moments in that, I've said to you, I think that game yesterday with the team that Forest had out, and moments in that game where we could have been on top. I get there's a game plan. I do think we probably should have pushed a bit harder, and I do think we could have come away with a goal or 2 lead potentially. But ultimately, we're still in the tie going back to Villa Park. It's very rare we lose at Villa Park in general, but especially in Europe. Obviously, we've beaten PSG, we've beaten Bayern Munich, we've drawn with Juventus, just to name a few of the big teams that we've sort of played against. So, like you say, there's nothing to worry about as of yet.
Ultimately, we only lost yesterday because of a penalty decision, and people can debate the penalty decision. Personally, I think it's the right decision. We could also mention the fact that Elliot Anderson should have been sent off, and he's a blatant red card. One of the most blatant red cards I've ever seen. I know so just for a bit of context, in the ground, the incident happened right in front of me, but it happened so quickly you kind of missed it. So I didn't really know to the extent of what happened. But I seen John McGinn weren't very happy, and I spoke to Corey at the end. He said, "Wait until you see it, because I just know there's going to be a text coming through from you. I can't wait to see what you say after seeing it." And I could not believe he had not been sent off there. It's dangerous. It's rash. His studs are showing. He's gone over the ball. He's gone at force. How on earth it was not picked up as a red card is beyond me. And what I will say, to take it one step further, if that was on the other foot and that was a Villa player, say if that was an Onana on one of their players, it's a red card because the fans behind the referee giving it loads, the players would be on him as well. They don't walk away from that without a red card. Whereas because it was an away team at Forest, it was us, and not enough of our players got around the referee. We didn't make a song and dance out of it because we're too fucking soft. That's why he didn't get sent off. But that's a red card. But anyway, we could go over this and we could talk about the minuscule details in the game, which could change the game, could not. Elliot Anderson could rip us at Villa Park, but I don't see it. I don't think he was particularly fantastic at Villa Park when he played against him last time. I don't think he was particularly fantastic when he played against Forest last time before this. He's decided to show up and have his best game in a semi-final, which fair enough, big players do that. But now we have got to fucking show our own now. We're playing at Villa Park in front of our fans. There'll only be just over 2,000 Forest fans in a 40, it's going to be about 40,000 Villa fans in comparison to 2,000 Forest fans. They are not going to be heard. Villa Park will be the loudest it's ever been, and I can't wait for it personally.
Yeah, you spot on. Like I say, I mean, Elliot Anderson, fair play to him. He had probably, like I say, he had his best game against us yesterday. Should he have been on the pitch? Absolutely not. I was quite pleased to see Ollie Watkins leave a knee in on him as well. I know that sounds horrible to say, but if someone's going to do that to you, do it back to him. I'm surprised Watkins didn't get booked with the way the referee was acting the whole game. He was very biased, let's be honest. But ultimately, I think the thing is, we're not going to sit here and say that Villa deserved to win that game. We didn't go out with the intention of winning the game. You could see that, and we definitely didn't deserve to win it. Do I think Forest deserved to win it? Not really. I think if either team was going to win it, you could probably say Forest just edged it. I don't think Forest were particularly great yesterday. I don't think we were great. I think it was quite a poor standard of football, to be honest. It was very much how I think a lot of people expected Atletico Madrid Arsenal to go. And two negative teams, basically making sure they weren't out of the competition after the first leg. But like you say, we're coming back to Villa Park now. It's a place we know. It's a place that we have to have everybody on board. And the Villa fans, I've said it before, and I know I'm not one of the players, and you don't have to listen to me. You can tell me to do one if you like. But even if it's 0-0 after 60 minutes, just keep behind the boys. Villa Park has this problem of we shift too quickly. We get worried too early, and then you start to feel the negativity come in, and the players feel that if it's 0-0 after 70 minutes, keep with the boys, keep chanting, keep doing whatever, because we're more than capable of turning around. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd all love to see after 5 minutes Villa being 1-0 up and then going and cruising through the game. Realistically, are we going to score in the first 15 minutes? I don't see it personally, but if it does happen, great. But if it doesn't, that doesn't mean we then have to moan. Forest are going to have times during that second leg where they're going to come at us because they might have to, or it might be a case of they're just going to sit back and try and hit us on the counter-attack. That's going to happen. We're going to get frustrated as a team, but you just keep behind the boys, keep it going, and whatever happens at Villa Park happens at Villa Park from there.
To be fair to Forest fans, they were good yesterday, but there was, even with them, there was spells throughout the game where you could tell that because we managed it. I thought we managed it for the first 15, 20 minutes really well, and we played quite well in the first that opening phase of the game, and we really quieted their fans down. I remember turning to Adam and saying, look, I think we've managed it particularly brilliantly here so far. And it was just, I think we managed the 90 minutes fairly well. It was just that moment of stupidity from Luca Dean. Like, I don't know what he was thinking, putting his arms in the air like that, like in your own box. It was just brain dead, to summarise it.
Yeah, like I said, I think that first 20 minutes, and I think this is why I was a little bit disappointed yesterday. I think, obviously, realistically, you're always going to be disappointed losing a game, even if you know there's a second leg, you're always going to have that sort of disappointment. And I think the thing that sort of disappointed me the most is I said to you before the game, I said the starting lineup that was out for Forest wasn't their strongest. And the players on the bench, I think it was 4 of their 8 players that were on the bench, or 4 of their 9 players on the bench, had never stepped foot on a pitch for Nottingham Forest. So I would be looking at that thinking, this is a chance really where if we can get a goal, they've got no one to come on to really change it. And that first 20 minutes, like you say, I thought we managed it brilliantly. The City ground was quiet, the fans weren't there. They didn't want to be there as a team. They were worried. You could sense the nerves. But from the players' perspectives, it was just wasteful. We didn't up our game from there. We didn't go out of first gear really.
Yeah, I think it's a bit unfair though, because we're talking about what Villa can do. Forest ain't going to just roll over and make it easy for us. The team that they named still had some top players in there. Elliot Anderson, he was brilliant yesterday. He'll probably be playing at Manchester City next season. Gibbs White could do a job in most teams. Like I know we've had our difference of opinions than Gibbs White, but I still think genuinely Gibbs White is what people think Morgan Rogers is. Like, he's a very good player, and I think he could walk into our team personally. That decent players, Nico Williams, quality left back. I rate him personally really highly. The big one that was missing was like the centre half and centre midfielder, but they all stepped up. Morato was the one that they were all shitting themselves playing, and I thought he had a good game. It's a semi-final. The players would raise their game. Like I say, we didn't get battered. We haven't gone out of the game, and it's not 3-0 down. Like, it's still there to play for. I think it's not the end of the world for me personally. I just think to expect Villa to do this, do that, do this, do that. That's fine. We can play to a certain level. That's fine. Expecting that. But what if Forest didn't let us play to that level? What if Forest raised their game a bit higher than us? You know what I mean? It's just like, we have to play against someone ultimately. They're not going to roll over us in a semi-final. I think the big one, a big injury, and this is what I wanted to jump onto very quickly, was obviously the Onana thing with him coming off injured with his calf. I think that is the big one that I'm sweating over now, because he has to be fit for next week. I thought we looked a different team when he come off the pitch. He was brilliant in that first half.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the mentality side of it with Villa, and it's a problem we've had for a while, mentality-wise, is as soon as he went off the pitch, you could see sort of a drop in confidence from the Villa players. We sat back an extra 5 yards, and for me, I don't really think Elliot Anderson was in the game until that moment. I think Onana dealt with him very well. I think Onana against Anderson, I don't remember Anderson really having a sniff, and then as soon as obviously he came off, and I don't think it was because Bogard couldn't get near him, because to be fair, every time Bogard got near Elliot Anderson, I think he did quite well. I think Bogard did fairly well, but we just dropped off those 5 yards and gave him the space to do what he wanted.
Yeah, he was like dropping deeper then, weren't he, and picking the ball up like Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, it was very sort of defensive, and to be honest with you, I'm not hopeful that he'll be back next week. If I'm honest, I don't think we'll see Amadou Onana for the rest of the season. That's my biggest concern. I think
he didn't limp off that much though. He was still walking quite comfortably.
He didn't limp off. It's just the fact of obviously what Emery's saying about he was injured in the first half and then they've let him go back out, and it's just like, could we not have done something at half time then, rather than sort of risking that chance of him getting injured? And ultimately, if Onana's asked to come off himself in a semi-final, it's either, hopefully from his side of things, he's just thinking I can come back for the semi-final, or
which might be a bit tight.
Well, yeah, but I feel like in a semi-final when he's playing well, he's not gonna, especially with him working hard to get back for the semi-final. He's asked to come off if it's just a little niggle.
Yeah, but if he'd have pushed himself, he's going to know his body, and if he'd pushed himself that little bit further, he could have tore it.
Yeah,
so if he's got any doubt in his mind, you'd rather him say, "Look, boss, I'm at risk here. I'm going to come off, and that's fine." I don't necessarily think it's the end of his season. It could be. I could be completely wrong. I'm just hopeful personally that I'd like to think we'll hear something out of it within the next day or two, really. Let's be realistic, because obviously with us having Spurs this weekend, the boss will speak to the media this afternoon. We might hear something later today. He'll probably say Onana's obviously going to miss the game, which I think he wouldn't play anyway, personally, even if he was fit. Who comes in is the next question, because do we want Bogard playing 90 minutes? Fucking right, I've got to be honest with you, after his last two performances, I wouldn't want him anywhere near the team.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? In that respect, I think you probably got to stick John McGinn there.
Bring Sancho in, mate.
But again, the problem is if we stick McGinn in there, we have to rely on the three players behind Watkins to be creative, and I think we can all say Buendia was terrible yesterday.
Yeah, but he'll come out against Spurs, won't he?
Yeah,
Barkley will come in.
Yeah, Sancho looked all right when he came on. Rodgers was poor again, so it is that thing. Don't get me wrong, I thought McGinn was quite poor yesterday as well. I think a lot of the players didn't really step up to the occasion, but ultimately it is that thing of next week, like you say, who does come in? Do we just see McGinn drop back in there? I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Douglas Luiz in there. I mean, he's done it plenty of times before for Villa. I think Unai Emery sees Tielemans and Douglas Luiz as the same player. I think that's why we don't see them together. Like, even when Douglas Luiz came on yesterday, Tielemans pushed into the 10. It wasn't Douglas Luiz and Tielemans playing next to each other, or that sort of, because I thought he was going to come on for Tielemans. I thought he was going to bring Tielemans off, and obviously he didn't. So, I mean, we're not going to change formation. That's obvious. We're not going to change anything like that. So it is just that thing then of. But again, we're running that tightrope as well with Tielemans. He's on a yellow card now.
Yeah.
He got that yellow card yesterday. He wasn't going into any challenges. He was pulling out of everything. And we can't, as fortunately, as bad as it sounds, we don't want to miss him for the final, but he can't be doing that in the next week. We can't have 90 minutes of him not going into challenges.
Yeah, you'd rather him miss the final and at least us get there, wouldn't you? Rather than not.
Exactly, and this is no offence to Braga or Freiburg, but you look at the two teams that you could face there, and you'd like to think even without someone like Tielemans, we could still
get a result.
Yeah, beat one of those two teams. So it's one of them where. Obviously, he won't want to miss the final. It's a similar situation where Gaza got the yellow card. And I think Roy Keane missed the final as well, and John Terry. They're important players, but at the same time, if it's an important moment, you have to take that card and you just got to bite the bullet and say, "I'm doing this for the sake of us winning a trophy, maybe."
Yeah, and he'll go down as a legend anyway if he's part of the squad that gets us
exactly.
to. Yeah, look. It is what it is. 1-0, still in the guitar. I think just Villa fans would just need to stop being so negative about it. Where do you sit on the thought process of rotation for the Spurs game this weekend?
I mean, it's not done us any favours, has it? That's the big thing with this sort of first leg is, can we afford to rotate? Yes, but not a lot, I'd say. If we do lose to Spurs, it's not good. Let's be honest. If we lose to Spurs, yes, we've got Burnley next, but all of a sudden,
yeah, there's a bit more pressure.
Yeah, one, there's a bit more pressure. Two, you're rotating for Spurs with the idea of we're definitely going to go through to the final if we rotate. If we don't get through to the final, touch wood, that's not the case. But if we don't, all of a sudden you've wasted a game there, and you've got to go and beat Burnley. And if you don't beat Burnley, you all of a sudden go from potentially Champions League in both competitions to nothing at all.
Fucking hell.
I know it's horrible to say, isn't it? But it's.
I've just been telling everyone not to be doom and gloom, and then we're talking like this.
I know. Obviously, I mean, like you look at Chelsea today. Literally, just before we jump from this podcast, Reece James and Levi Colwill are back for them too, for the Forest game potentially. So, I mean, again though, that's another thing. Is if Chelsea go and do Forest in their backyard, if we do lose to Spurs and West Ham win, Forest are only 3 points clear of the relegation zone going into that second leg.
Yeah, well, and then that could play into their minds, couldn't it? Thinking, obviously, we've got a massive game coming this weekend. Do we rest anyone at Villa Park? Which I don't think they will.
Chelsea, that's the question as well.
I don't know. I don't see how they can. Personally, I hope they play a full strength team and pick up a few knocks. To be honest with you, well, not to sound a fucker. Don't want to wish injury on people, but
no,
fuck them. Personally,
but again, that's another thing though. If we are to beat Spurs, well, they can go and rest whoever they want against Chelsea because they'll be 6 points clear of Spurs still.
When do they play Spurs? Chelsea?
Monday.
Are they on Monday, are they? Fucking hell. Not ideal, is it?
But they'll know ahead of time. But who knows, mate? Like I say, I think I'm expecting some rotation. It's Unai Emery, let's be honest. I've seen people saying play the kids, we'll probably see the same starting 11 minus a couple players, if we're being honest. I think.
Yeah, we will.
I'd like to see someone like Tammy Abraham come in instead of Watkins, just because realistically, if we're going into semi-final, you want Watkins starting. I'd like to see
Rodgers come off.
Yeah, I don't want to see him play at all. I'd like to see Sancho probably play, just with the idea of him playing against Forest, getting 90
get some minutes.
Back. When Deer can play, if he has a good game against Spurs, then he can sort of play against Forest for me. Lindelof, I'd like to see come in. Him and Mings probably.
Maatsen.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, you could make a case for the whole team being changed, but
Bizot, would you rest Martinez?
I don't think we necessarily need to, but I wouldn't mind resting him.
Yeah, it's more so just because he picks up these weird injuries, don't he, Martinez? So it's just like last thing we need is him pulling out of the warm up next week.
Garcia instead of Cash.
Oh, God, no. That ain't going to happen. Let's be realistic.
Well, yeah, Bogard might play right back instead.
Look, I think ultimately we need to just look at it this week, as the title of the episode says, is a massive week at Villa Park. We can confirm Champions League for football by beating Spurs this weekend, and then on Thursday we could secure our place for a European final. Sorry, not a semi-final. We're in a semi-final. A European final by beating Nottingham Forest at Villa Park. As Corey said earlier on in the video, we need the whole of Villa Park behind the players, the fans just at it for 90 minutes. If we go through dark periods during the game, exactly like last year against PSG, still back the boys. Because if anything can happen during this game, the Villa faithful will affect it. And we've seen it time and time and time and time again. So this is my war cry, my war cry to you guys as Villa fans, if you are watching this. Be loud, be proud, because ultimately we can help the lads get over the line. I think we've touched out on everything we need to, really, Corey. I think we can wrap it up there. So, final one from me and Corey. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.